Hey, what is up, mortals? Welcome to part 2 season 2 of What If Deku Was a Namu. I just wanted to greet you guys by just saying, sit back and relax, you're in for a treat. So, we begin. Coming here was a spectacular choice. Not only was the intel good, but with this new quirk my limit just got boosted from 12 to 20. With a look of contemplation on his face, he casually strode down towards Uraraka and his other targets. 9 felt fantastic. Stay away from us, Uraraka demanded as she threw her arms around Deku in an act of protective defiance. Her words were brushed off by a casual wave of the villain's hand. I didn't come here to play with children, little girl, 9 replied. I came to settle a debt before setting this world straight. I wasn't even aiming for him, but given who I hit, I'd say it was a lucky shot in the dark. 9 continued his stride. Gotta hand it to him though. If he was able to defeat someone like him. 9 nodded towards Overhaul. He must have a quirk worth taking. Like his old man. Tell you what, I'm feeling generous. Leave him behind and I'll let you keep your quirk in your life. Resist me and you won't live to regret it, kid. Incensed, Uraraka made the worst decision she could have at this very moment. Activating her quirk, she made Deku weightless. And with all her strength she threw him as far away as she could. Before deciding to fight this new villain head on, she loosed a pair of steel wires from the weighted support items on her wrist. Before swinging them at the villain, 9's response was to simply raise his right hand and fire 4 lasers at her, which all hit her center mass. She gargled and fell flat on her back. Forced to bear witness to it all was Deku, who was still stunned and powerless to do anything about it. All he could do was crawl. With a blank look on his face, he weakly crawled towards her, ignoring his surroundings. When he made it to her, he could see the pain on her face. Seeing her like this felt like having his heart torn out of his chest. With the strength that he had, he pulled her close and put pressure on her wound to slow the bleeding. He didn't even notice 9 standing over the two of them with his palm reached out, attempting to steal Deku's quirk. Moments before 9 could succeed, the gloved fist of Mirio Tagata connected with the villain's stomach, sending the villain flying and dropping the girl under his arm. Mirio caught the unconscious child and laid her down near Deku and Uraraka. I'm sorry, the new holder of One for All muttered before chasing after 9. To Deku, Uraraka choked out as tears trailed down both of their faces. You have to come back, Deku. As she continued, the Namu graft awakened and wrapped itself around her waist, doing a far better job of stopping her bleeding. I tried so hard to be like you ... and I failed. I wanted to save ... to bring you home because for once, I wanted to be your hero. She reached out for him with a shaking hand and touched his face. When we first met, I knew I wanted to be your friend, she said, straining to speak to him. Then why you saved me? You were there for anyone who asked without asking. When you were gone, when they took you away from us, nothing felt real. Izuku took hold of the hand on his cheek. I remember you, Uraraka. I just ... It feels like I'm swimming in my own head, and every time I get to the top and take a breath, I'm dragged back down. I'm so sorry. An influx of memories came rushing back to him after being struck by 9's lightning. All Might, his mother and co. Uraraka and his friends. Deku, come closer. When he leaned in, she laid a gentle peck on his lips. That could only last a moment. I love you, Deku. Her eyes closed and she became slack in his arms with a look of peace on her face. Shell-shocked by the experience, something broke inside of the already shattered teen's head. His tears dried up, and sadness was replaced with grief and utter rage. He picked her up carefully, holding her in his arms. He gently picked up Eri and ran off to get help. It took only seconds for him to find Torino, Kirishima and Fatgum, madness glowing in his eyes as he approached the trio of heroes. Take them, find help, he all but ordered in a distorted voice that rumbled with a deep baritone. Do as he asks, Night-Eye said, making his presence known. Mirio will need his help. I've already seen it. Night-Eye slowly walked towards Izuku. We'll take care of them. With the greatest of reluctance, he surrendered Uraraka and Eri before breaking out in a full-on sprint in the opposite direction. After he had left, something peculiar started to happen. Eri had begun to melt. On another battlefield, Toga was having the time of her life. In front of her with his blade drawn was none other than her idol. Stain glared into her soul, and it made her heart sing. I can't believe you're here, she said from behind a face-splitting grin. She had always hoped to run into the infamous hero killer, but never expected for him to come and find her first. Where's the boy? Where's All Might's son? Stain demanded. You're not gonna try to hurt him again, are you? Cause I tried to drink his blood once and his new arm almost broke my neck. Toga giggled, cherishing every moment of this conversation. Stain was the embodiment of freedom to her many others. I'm not here for games, girl. If you won't talk, I'll make you answer one way or the other. I'm getting that boy back to his father even if I have to cut through you. Toga pointed at Stain. Spinner was right. You were trying to get him back to home. Guess I owe him a few bucks. But to answer your question, he's with a friend rescuing a little girl named Yuri. Hearing the last part confused Stain. From what he knew of the League, they were just a bunch of anarchists who hid underneath All for One. Now they were rescuing children, but to what end? Why are you rescuing children? Thought you were a bunch of kids playing the villain? Stain inquired with a snarl and firm grip on his katana. Because most of us want to be like you. A lot of us were rejected by society because of our quirks. But then you came and showed the world how corrupt hero society was. You were so cool and stylish that the rest of us decided to come forth and show ourselves. I could call him if you want, but he may be too busy to answer the phone right now. Toga pulled out her phone and showed it to Stain. I was told to take you to him if you ever found us. If you want, I may be able to take you to him. If you answer one itsy-bitsy little question. Stain became more guarded and on edge. He was running out of time. Either the heroes were going to apprehend him or he'd killed those sent to capture him. What do you want? Tell me what your favorite knife is. Accepting the bizarre request, the hero killer answered. Bowie knife. Thank you. This way, she said, guiding the hero killer towards Izuku's last known location. Midpoint for ad. In his home with the strict eye of Inko on him, the symbol of peace sat down on his living room couch with a bowl of miso soup in front of him. He sighed and took the soup and flipped on the television. When he did, a news report captured his attention. A villain was attacking the outside region of Tokyo. The symbol watched the live feed patiently. He didn't have much time left, 45 minutes at best. And he needed it to rescue his boy. Sipping his soup, Toshinori watched the battle taking place between his new successor and an unidentified villain. This villain was able to control the weather, shoot beams of light from his hands, create dragons that attacked their enemies, and much more. Concerned, All Might nearly roused to his feet. Given how things had gone with Izuku, he wasn't sure if he wanted to sit this fight out. He decided to put his faith in SR's chosen successor. He closed his eyes and sighed. No, he wouldn't leapt from his couch, declare to the world that he was here and distress the woman looking after him. Instead, he'd relax and wait for any ounce of good news. And Ko reappeared at his side with her own bowl of soup. She offered him a kind smile and reassuring rub on the back. For a moment, All Might felt as if he could relax. That was until a familiar voice came bursting from the speakers. You hurt Uraraka. I'll kill you. Both adults turned their undivided attention towards the TV screen. There, with a look of murder on his face, was their son. In one form or another, it was harder to recognize him with the crazed look on his face and a black appendage shooting off in the direction of the villain he was facing. His body was slowly turning darker before them, giving Izuku a closer appearance to a traditional Nomu. Their hearts sank as they watched the teenager they loved attack Nine with such carnage. Neither of them knew what to say. Both managed to finally calm themselves down after weeks of stress and grief, only to witness this. He was different, angry, and slowly changing before their very eyes into what could only be described as a horrific sea monster. Izuku cried out, bellowing out a cry of primal fury on all fours. As Deku's cry of fury turned into one of pain, his skin had turned to a charcoal black. His teeth were a jagged assortment of sharp, nearly translucent daggers. A feral snarl escaped his lips before he leapt into the fight. Without a word, Toshinori flipped the TV off. He didn't want Inko seeing any more than she had. He got up and went directly for the door. I'm going. A moment of silence passed between them. Be careful, Toshi, Inko muttered. I'll do my best. All Might reached for the embers of One for All, then left to find his boy. Meanwhile, Mirko watched the trio of Mirio, Tagata, Deku, and Nine engage in a fierce battle, one she would gladly join if she wasn't being cut off by a wolfman. Hey big guy, what big teeth you have, she said, commenting on the row of teeth he had been showing while smiling at her. The better to eat you alive with, little rabbit, he replied with a wink, flirting with her. A chuckle escaped her lips. Well, aren't you a barrel of fun? Say, why don't we do this later? I have a prior engagement to attend. But if you're willing to wait, I can save my next dance for you. Chimera laughed. His grin didn't fall either. He, like Mirko herself, was excited too, since things had become tense due to All Might. No one was cutting loose for fear of ending up on his radar. Now, after months of sitting around, he was finally able to run wild. I'm afraid I'll have to insist on having the first dance. I hope you won't mind if I take the lead, the wolf villain said, flexing his muscles. Not at all. As long as you don't mind if I step on your toes. Chimera reared his fist back while lunging at Mirko, who grinned like a mad woman. She responded with a kick that made their bones rattle. The resulting excitement made their hearts race. I think I'm in love, Chimera exclaimed happily. Right back at you, big guy, Mirko said before sending him flying with a right hook. Chimera quickly picked himself and charged at Mirko. More than a pretty face. Try not to die on me. I'm a huge fan. The two kicked, clawed, and punched away at each other, comfortable to drag their fight out just a little bit further away twice. Mustard and Eerie made their way to their rendezvous where they would meet with the other members of the league. It was time to leave while the getting was good. Took you long enough, Compress said, wiping the non-existent sweat from his brow. A few minutes longer and I would have presumed you both got captured or killed. It's getting crazy out there. Guess we failed our missio. Who's this? And where is Starfish? He asked, hoping for the best. Last I saw he was fighting Overhaul, Mustard answered as he caught his breath. Some crazy guy came after us. If Twice hadn't made copies of us, we'd be done for, the masked villain said with dread. Yeah, he was crazy strong. He looked like a cosplayer. The members of the league were so busy speaking amongst themselves they didn't notice Toga and Stain's arrival. Where is he? The hero killer demanded as he scanned the faces before him. To Toga's merit, she was telling the truth about there being a little girl. Mustard and Twice pointed in the direction they came from immediately. None of them wanted to be that man's bad side. The man growled, noticing Eerie hiding behind Twice's leg. He pointed his katana at the group of misfits. Drop her off with the authorities or else I'll find you again. Stain left with Toga hot on his heels. The other members of the league didn't know what was coming next, but they knew that whatever it was, it'd make an impact they'd be feeling for a long time to come. None of this is good, Compress said, receiving nods from the other members of the league. Outro. Thank you all for indulging yourselves in the story thus far. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, there are a few more things that I'd like to go over before the video ends. Firstly, we've got a second channel called Anime Deep Dive. Anime Deep Dive goes deep into the facts and lore of a wide variety of anime. It's sure to expand your weeb knowledge for all kinds of series, guaranteed. On top of that, we have a third channel called We The Celestials Naruto What Ifs. It's what we do on this channel already, but in the vast world and lore of Naruto. Go check it out if you're in the mood for some jutsu action. Secondly, on behalf of We The Celestials, I'd like to thank everyone involved in the production of today's awesome content. Their details will be in the description below. Lastly, if you're interested in what we do here at We The Celestials, then I would like to extend out an invitation to join the team. The only caveat being we only accept members 16 years and up to join our crew. You can sign up for whichever category fulfills your interests by joining the recruitment Discord using the link in the description below. Our Discord is an all-around fantastic place to be. Whether you're a fan or looking to join our band of misfits, we're always looking for members to join us. Well, that's it from us for today's video. So, thank you all for watching, and have a great day.